After my car accident, the one that ended my surgical career, I remember lying in the hospital thinking, this wasn't supposed to be my story. I was a surgeon. That was my identity. That was my 30 years of work, who I was. And suddenly, I couldn't operate anymore. Now, I'm not telling you that to make this about me. I'm telling you because what happened next is directly relevant to what I want to talk about today. I had a choice about the story I told myself. I could tell myself that this is the end. Everything, everything I built is gone. Or I could tell myself something different. And that choice, which sounds small, almost too simple, changed the entire direction of my life. Which is why when I work with cancer patients now, one of the first thing I pay attention to is not their blood test results or scan results, but it's the story they're telling themselves about what's happening. Let me show you what I mean. Uh, Three women. Let's consider three women, roughly the same age, the same diagnosis. The first one, I will call her Neha, spent the first 4 or 5 months trapped in one question: why me? It was the only question. Why did I get the cancer? What did I do wrong? Actually, she had done everything right. She was careful about her health, she exercised, she ate well, but she couldn't let go of the unfairness of it. Her husband used to tell me that she's not sleeping, she's Googling at about 3 o'clock in the morning. She was convinced she must have done something wrong. I would sit with her and you could just feel it. This loop of why me she was stuck in. The same thought circling again and again. She completed the treatment and the cancer went into remission. But when I saw her about a year later, she said something that broke my heart a little. She said, I feel like I lost a year to anger. I was so busy asking why question that I forgot to ask what now. That was about the first person. The second person, Anjali. Anjali went entirely the opposite way. The day she got her diagnosis, she said, right, I'm going to fight this. And she meant it with everything she had. She researched every protocol, every supplement, every alternative therapy. She came to appointments with printed articles and questions that took more than half an hour to get through. Her oncologist actually, gently but firmly, had to tell her, Anjali, rest is also an important treatment. You are exhausting yourself. But in her mind, resting was giving up. She never cried in front of anyone, never admitted she was scared. She survived. Remission. Yes, by any medical measure, a success. But I saw her maybe a year and a half later, and there was something hollow about her. She said, my daughter finished school while I was having treatment, her last year at home. And I don't. I barely remember it. I was at war every single day. Although she fought cancer, she won, but she lost a year of her daughter. That was second person. And the third, Priya. Yes, the same Priya from last video. Different patient, same name as it happens. When I told Priya her diagnosis, she cried. She was terrified. She went home and called her sister and sobbed for a long time. And then, a few days later, she came back. She said, I've been thinking, cancer is happening to me, but it's not. It's not me. I asked her, what she meant. She said, I'm still somebody's mother, still somebody's wife. I still love watching films. I still make the best chai in my family. And cancer doesn't change any of that. It's one thing that's happening. It's not my whole story. And that's how she lived through treatment. She had terrible days. She cried. She was frightened. But she also laughed. She watched films with her kids. She had her sister to do her hair on days she felt too weak to do it herself. She didn't pretend cancer was a blessing. She didn't spiritualize it. She just didn't let it become her whole identity. When treatment ended, she told me, it was the worst year of my life, but I was still there. I didn't disappear. So, what's actually different between these three women? Not the treatment, not the medical team, the story. And I want to be precise about this because it matters. I am not saying the right story cures cancer. I'm saying the story you tell yourself determines how you use your energy during the hardest period of your life. Neha's story, why me, this is unfair, kept her fighting the past, kept her arguing with something she couldn't change. While Anjali's story, I must fight every second, meant she could never rest, never grieve, never be human. And Priya's story, this is happening and I'm still here, gave her something neither of others had: space. Space to be terrified and hopeful. Space to have a terrible day and a good evening. Space to let people in. Psychology call it narrative flexibility. The ability to hold a complex story about yourself rather than a single rigid one. I think of it differently. I think of it as not letting cancer take more than it's already taking, because it takes enough. So if you are watching this and you are in the middle of treatment, or you have just been diagnosed, or you are supporting someone who has, here is what I would like you to do. Just ask yourself honestly, what story am I telling myself right now? Not to judge it, just to notice it. Is it, why me? Is it, I must fight every moment? Or is it something else? And then ask, is this story giving me energy or is it taking it? Because you can't change the diagnosis, you can't change the treatment plan, but the story you build around those facts, that's yours. You can be angry and grateful, scared and still okay, falling apart some days and finding something beautiful on others. All of that can be true at once. Cancer is complex. You are allowed to be complex too. After my accident, the story I eventually chose was this: something closed, something else might open. I am a psychiatrist now. I work with surgical patients, with cancer patients, with surgeons under pressure. I do work I couldn't have imagined when I was in the operating room. I'm not saying my accident was a gift. It wasn't. It was painful and frightening, and I grieved the career I had built for years. But the story I chose, instead of this is end, left a door open. That's all I'm asking you to consider today. Leave a door open.